VitalHoops is for the culture.
Peace, Jumbo. Welcome to the Vital Hoops Podcast. My name is Fernando Cardenas, aka International XB. This is episode 56. Today, I have an amazing guest. We're going to get into basketball, but we're also going to get into African spirituality and Pan-Africanism. Our guest has a bachelor's in supply chain management and a master's in project management. He's an Ogun priest, an Ifa student, and he's the founder of the Mossi warrior clan. Our guest is also a professional basketball player, currently playing in the Dominican Republic, where he is also the president of the Georgia Panthers and a scout for the Liga de Champions. Our guest is Ben and Njie, aka Blak Pantha. Blak Pantha, peace, my brother. How you doing? Welcome to the Vital Hoops Podcast.
Lafayette Mandala, baby, for Houdier. Appreciate you having me, brother.
No doubt, man. It's a pleasure and an honor. I appreciate you taking the time, man.
Hey.
What you been up to? I know you playing like a summer league or something like that, like a off-season league right now.
Yeah, right now we're in a city league here in High Point, North Carolina. So it's a highly competitive league from the city's best. So we're about 7 games into that season right now.
Ooh, it's like a pro-am?
Yeah, basically.
That's dope, man. How's that going?
It's going good. We're 5-2, so trying to finish the regular season out next week, and then we'll go into the playoffs. That's
what's up, man. Okay, yeah, cool. We're gonna get into basketball a little bit later, man. But I'd love for you to talk to me a little bit about how you became an Ogun priest, and I know you're also an Ifa student. You know what I'm saying? So talk to me a little bit about that, man. I'm Afro-Cuban, so my uncle was a Babalao, rest in peace. But my uncle, he was a Babalao, so I'm also into the culture. But yeah, talk to me a little bit about that. How'd you get into that?
Oh, well, around 2014, I read a book called, I believe it was called The Way of Ifa by Philip John Nehemiah. Upon completing that book, new information about Orisha, new information about the culture and how things are determined and the intricacies of Yoruba tradition. I thought to myself, I said, man, I wonder what Orisha speaks for me. I wonder Orisha is the best I should worship for the betterment of my life. So I started reaching out in the Yoruba community. I found a gentleman named Adedayo Ologundudu. Little beknownst to me, he was what we call, or he is what we call an Araba, which is a chief Ifa priest in a certain region or area. Baba Adedayo Ologundudu is the Araba of the United States and Puerto Rico. This title was conferred upon him by the Araba Agbaye from Ile Ife, who has since passed, but that is the person who gave him this title. And his title is basically the chief priest of Ifa in Ile Ife, which is kind of like a holy city for Yoruba people in Nigeria. So I got connected with Baba. I came over to his house. The first thing that stood out to me about him was he looked like my father, which was kind of a little frightening because my father is deceased, but that was the situation. He did what's called a Idafa, Ifa divination on me, told me some things about my life, told me some things, what I should do going forward, and some work that needs to be done spiritually. But one of the first things he said to me was that I was a child of Ogun. Well, like most men who come into this culture, we all want to be Shango, right? or we all
you already know. Well, that's it's most popular. It's funny because I am actually a child of Shango, but
okay, so
it is most popular though. It's true. Like that's where we talk.
Yeah, so I went into the divination thinking, oh, I must be Shango, I read about him and.
Yeah.
But that was not the case. He told me I was a child of Ogun, so I had to go and back and read Ogun and learn more about Ogun, and that kind of started me on my path of learning, eventually getting initiated, going into training afterwards with my Baba Ogun, whose name is Ogundiran Olo Oguni Mombon. Starting or on the ground level of starting an Egbe Ogun with him, which is kind of like an extension from Baba Adedayo. So just going through that process and training for years, language training, praise poetry, Omero or people call spiritual bath making, learning how to sacrifice, learning how to cast kola nuts, learning all of these things that have to do with Ogun. And that was my training to become recognized as Ologun or a basic Ogun priest. And through that training, it's kind of like when I got through that, he passed me to my Baba Oluwo, Oluwing, as I should say, Aikuola Iwindara. He is my Ifa Baba. So we all have a relationship, and we all learn from each other. So that's how I got initiated to Ifa. I got initiated to Ifa by the same person who initiated me to Ogun. But my teacher in Ifa is someone different. So we are all connected. My lineage is Oshogbo lineage, which is a place in Osun State and southwestern Nigeria. So that's kind of like my path within the Yoruba tradition.
Okay. So now you can initiate people now?
I wouldn't say I could initiate people.
Okay.
But we are building that knowledge for Ogun. As I said, we're building an Egbe. But anyone that could initiate somebody by themselves, I would look at kind of skeptical, because that's a lot. That's a lot of
No doubt.
huge undertaking. Something I wouldn't want to do by myself. You need students and helpers and other priests to help you. I mean, just for the fear fact of, or the mere fact that you may forget something, or like in the Afro-Cuban tradition, they have Larishe, which is like, when other priests give interpretations of the Odu that has been cast for a person. Just because you don't know all the Odus in the world, and somebody else might have a better handle over this Odu than you do. So, they have this tradition where other priests can say, yes, I know about that Odu as well, and be cognizant of this, and this. So, just little things like this. This is a community-based, tradition, a community family-based exercise. The word Egbe itself means family. I'm sorry, it means society, but society denotes family, right? And even in someone's house or ile, you have members of the house. Again, a family concept. So, it's always going to be that community element to the culture, because that's just the way it was set up.
No doubt. Okay, so you're the founder, right, of the Maasai warrior clan?
Mossi Warrior Clan is my baby. I am the founder of the Mossi Warrior Clan. We are of young scholars that have produced 33 books in total, in counting. And we're just continuing to put out products. We give lectures on my YouTube channel, Mossi Warrior Clan. We pretty much cover a wide range of topics, from science to spirituality to history, artifacts and culture, archaeology, paleontology. We like to keep our finger on the pulse of knowledge of everything that has to do with African phenomena.
That's dope, man. I'm gonna definitely have some links down in the description for everybody to check that out. Talk to me a little bit about Pan-Africanism, because not everybody who's into African spirituality is necessarily into Pan-Africanism, or vice versa. Talk to me a little bit about Pan-Africanism. How did you become a Pan-Africanist? How did it all begin?
Well, you see my flag in the background, so kind of dead giveaway. My Pan-African route may be different from others. My father is from West Africa. My father was born in Banjul, Gambia. So from a very young age, I knew where my roots lie. I knew that my family was from Gambia and Senegal, and that's where my last name is from. That's where my father was born. It's where some of my brothers were born. I have an entire family unit in Gambia, so I knew that from a young age. So I developed a love for Africa at a very young age because of my father and the stories he would tell me about Africa. So, when you come into a young adult and you realize that, when I was growing up at least, Africa wasn't cool.
Yep.
It's not like now. We ain't have Afrobeat and the musical genius that comes out of South Africa that's similar to Afrobeat. I don't know the term. I think it's Piano or something like that.
Okay.
We didn't have that.
Yeah.
All the images on TV were of little kids starving.
With flies on their face.
Flies on their face. So Africa wasn't cool. I got called, African booty scratcher and all the other demeaning terms. You black, you dark as hell, all that stuff. So from the beginning, I stood out. So I embraced standing out. I was like, fine, I don't care what y'all think about Africa. Africa the shit. I don't care what y'all think. We all from there, whether you like it or not. So that was my attitude. So when I came across people like John Henrik Clarke, Dr. Ben, Ashwa Kwesi, Dr. Chancellor Williams, Jacob Carruthers, and all of these great African scholars that were talking about Africa in such a positive light, I was like, oh man, okay, it's some people really out here studying Africa, and then going further in Theophile Banga and Sheikh Anta Diop and Dr. Fukiao and so many others, man. And I was reading and absorbing all the information. And when you come across Marcus Garvey and you realize Marcus Garvey's influence on all of our greats, you realize that without this man that told us Africa was for Africans and really birthed the idea of Pan-Africanism, you don't get, Elijah Muhammad, you don't get Malcolm X, you don't get Kwame Ture. All these people are influenced by Garvey. He had this Pan-African mindset. And then you go and you even see some of the Caribbean brothers from Trinidad and how their Pan-African mindset sparked the brain of so many others. And then the Afro-Cubans, Arturo Schomburg and his library, which is beautiful, by the way. I've been in Harlem.
Schomburg, yeah, that's Afro-Puerto Rican. But yeah. But even on the continent, like you said, even on the continent, with Nkrumah.
He has such a great influence on John Henrik Clarke. John Henrik Clarke left his little small town in Alabama, traveled to his library and was like, I'm here to learn. And I ain't leaving. Right. I know the stuff that you know. So you look at all these great influences, all these great Pan-African men, and you're like, man, the best and brightest of us that wanted freedom, sovereignty, food, clothing, shelter, and just prosperity were Pan-African men. They may have differed a little in their ideologies,
of course,
but they wanted the same thing for African people globally, not just in America, not just here, not just there, but globally. So that shaped my consciousness and said, I want to represent the same thing. I want to represent African people globally, So that's what made me walk down the path of Pan-Africanism.
No doubt, man. It's crazy what you said, because this white hegemonic society that we live in, it has created that anti-Africanness that you were talking about when you were a youth. And, it's a global thing. That's why we don't understand. We just think we're just isolated in this little thing where and it's really a global thing, because, I know brothers from all different countries, different parts of the world that, go through these same things, as children. And then, growing up, some of us, coming to the conclusion that, Pan-Africanism is the answer. Each in our own little corner, we can't solve the problem. We really can't solve the entire problem, because the beast is a global beast. The problem is global, so the solution has to be global as well. The solution has to be international.
It permeates through certain societies so much that even people that are not African, but they happen to be darker, are discriminated against in their society because they look like us. So when I used to work in Saudi Arabia, I noticed that all of the darker Arabs were outside workers.
Yeah, I'm telling you,
All of the light-skinned Arabs had jobs in the buildings. And I was like, damn, they on that shit too?
Yeah.
And the more you talk to them, yeah, they had derogatory terms for darker skinned people, even if you weren't African. And I was like, man, that's wild. Like y'all the same race and y'all do that.
Absolutely. Well, you see it. That is the same thing also within, people be like, the whole thing about, light skinned brothers and dark skinned brothers, and you know what I'm saying, all this self-hatred, So like I said, yeah, it's global, man. It's a global phenomenon. But talk to me a little bit about your book, man. You wrote a book, African Spirituality for the African Diaspora.
One thing about me, I don't give me no timeline because I write when it hits.
When you get the inspiration.
Yeah, when I do it doesn't, I don't write. So I've been writing this book for probably 2-3 years. And the problem with writing books is while you're writing the book, you're going to see so many other stuff that you want to incorporate in the book. So you got to go learn about that stuff.
Yeah, and then you're like, where do I incorporate this now? And you already wrote.
You already wrote 6 chapters. And you're like, oh man, now I want to put this in there. So my friend Asari Motep gave me some great advice. He said, you're never finished with a book. You just stop writing. So I had to tell myself, this is it. I'm not adding any more to this book. The reason why I wrote the book is African people globally, we are often, we're always trying to have this Sankofa mindset and reclaim our history, which we should do at every turn. But when it comes to our spiritual history, that often gets left out. So we are the most spiritual people on the planet, in my opinion. We have the most spiritual systems of any type of people. But because we're miseducated on our spiritual systems a lot, or not educated at all, we don't find them. We don't know their names. We don't know where they're from. We don't know the things that we do that are in our spiritual systems that we aren't aware of. Just certain things that we do on a normal day-to-day basis. We don't know why we do them. We don't know why we say it. We don't know why Big Mama used to say the things that she said or what she was into because of monotheism, shunning these types of things, making people ashamed. So, we get these derogatory labels as, oh, that was the hoodoo man, or that was the voodoo man, or that was this, that was that. But we don't even really know what that means. We just hear the term and associate it with something negative, and then that culture, that spiritual tradition that we have in this family gets erased. It's like it never happened. So I wanted to write this book to bring us up to speed on our spiritual history. I wanted to introduce some systems to people that they may not have heard of. I wanted to elaborate on some systems that they have heard of. I wanted to introduce some concepts and cultural norms that African people have in America and throughout the diaspora that we do not know has an African spiritual root. And I wanted to dispel some myths that have been put into, movies, textbooks, and just propaganda from TV that is not true. So that was my inspiration for writing African Spirituality for the children of the African diaspora.
Man, that's deep, man. I want to ask you a little bit about, do you feel like, as a Pan-Africanist, do you feel like our people can be truly liberated while still worshiping the oppressor's gods, really, like, being part of an Abrahamic religion?
On a question like that, I take direction from our Queen Mother, Marimba Ani. And Marimba Ani said something so powerful to me. She said, your culture is your immune system. And if we understand how immune systems work, immune systems effortlessly protect us from a lot of things, from viruses, from pathogens, from all types of things that can harm us. That's our immune system's job. Your culture does the same thing when you are around this toxic society that a lot of us live in. If you're in the United States, if you're in the Caribbean, hell, even if you're in Africa, your culture protects you. All you have to do is live it. It can save you from a lot of unnecessary heartache, a lot of unnecessary confusion, a lot of unnecessary BS, because you're living the principles and the teachings of your ancestors. It's very important that we connect back to that source. A lot of great movements throughout the diaspora have been stifled, in my opinion, because we didn't have a spiritual component. We didn't have a component that we could use to decipher information. We didn't have a component that we could use to turn that information into wisdom and pass on to other generations. These are what African spiritual traditions are built on. So I do not think we will ever get to the point where we want to get that African liberation, that African sovereignty goal, while we are still embedded in monotheism. And monotheism is not something that we created. Monotheism is something that was imposed on us. And monotheism has nothing positive to say about the traditions that we originated and engaged in. So in my first book, I talked about that. I have a book called Is African Spirituality a Religion?, in which I talk about how the Pew Institute, which is the premier religious institute on the planet, they are the ones that put religious things into categories. And they say that African spirituality belongs in a term that they call folk religion.
Yeah.
And folk religion is the bastardized or non-approved method of another religion. So they're saying what we practice is the bastardized or non-approved version of monotheism, which would say that monotheism is the authority.
Right.
And that they came first, which we know that is bullshit.
That doesn't stand anywhere.
So, like I tell people, when people say African spirituality is a religion, and I ask them to name the category in which it's in, and they don't know, I said, when we call African spiritual traditions religions, we are perpetuating the white supremacist lie that is proposed on them, which is why we came up with a new term to try to encompass all African spiritual traditions, which we call Kimoyo. And Kimoyo is a Bantu word that came from our great ancestor, Dr. Fukiao, in which he said dynamism and vitality is at the root of our traditions. So we use that as an umbrella to encompass all African spiritual traditions because it is from Africa and it more accurately describes what we are engaging in. But to be stuck in that monotheistic paradigm is to never see the world through your ancestors' eyes. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, some of them died trying to practice the very spiritual traditions that some ancestors upheld. So I always tell people, a ram, if you see him, he'll go backwards to gather power to go forward. We must be that ram. We must go back and gather our power to go forward.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. It makes sense. What do you think about, like, for example, I don't know if you know about this, but like, for example, see, in Afro-Cuban religion, which is basically, we call Santeria, but it's based off of, Ifa. There has been too much infiltration of, European religion. So basically, like, when our ancestors were enslaved, basically, we would use Spanish saints' names in order to code. You know what I mean? So basically, Santa Barbara would be Shango. So we would always use Spanish saints in order to code. So they wouldn't know we were practicing our own spirituality. They would think that we were honoring their Catholic gods and all that. But unfortunately, now that we're quote unquote free, we're still kind of using this. Like, it feels like it all got intertwined and we never got away. And so I'll be asking a lot of babalaos back in Cuba, like, listen, why don't we stop using these terms? Like, we have to just stick strictly to the African names and of the gods and of everything, the practices. Because to this day, like, you have to be, a lot of babalaos make you be baptized in a Catholic church, in order to practice your African religion? Like, you know, it makes no sense to me. And they don't really have a good answer. They just tell me it's been so many years and everything has been so intertwined that there's no real way to go back. But at the same time, I know that the African spirituality there is still very deeply rooted, because I know there's a lot of people even coming in from Nigeria to get certain things, you know, from Cuba. And like I know Cuba and Brazil are some of the countries that after the Mahafa, they kept a lot of important information when it comes to Ifa. And you know, so yeah, what do you think about that, and how do you think we can work through that or help get rid of that?
It's very interesting because syncretism is something that occurred for the reasons you mentioned, but now here in 2024, we're still associated with these Catholic saints in Regla de Ocha and Santeria and Lukumi. So the question is why? And I think the answer is it's just easier to go along because people have been practicing this way for so long, and a lot of people don't want to change. They don't want to revert because this is just something that's been going on for so many years. But if you want true autonomy and freedom, you have to do things that are uncomfortable. So, you know, as much as what we call Isheshe influenced Regla de Ocha, it's now happening in the other way. So you have people that will either start in Regla de Ocha or you know, bring Regla de Ocha concepts into Isheshe. And a lot of times they don't mix because the two were created in separate areas. So you'll see Nigerians incorporate some of the Regla de Ocha stuff, which they know they didn't grow up learning, but they do it because it's becoming a syncretism thing, and they want clients as well, and they watch us. And then if you look at it in America, there's a lot of people that are either practicing a hybrid version of Regla de Ocha or something close to it. So they think if they incorporate this, they'll bring me more clients. So now we have a two-part problem. There's a Catholic saint still in Cuba, and now Americans are doing that, and then the Nigerians are thinking that we want that, so they're going away from what they were taught. So I think we have to just get back to the basics. And I do know some Cubans that cut out the Catholic saints, and they strictly practice a version of Regla de Ocha that is like separate from Catholicism as far as the saints are concerned. So it's about getting back to the basic tenets of your tradition. And that way, hopefully over time, we can erode the syncretism from this Catholic influence, because if it doesn't happen, you're always going to be tied to Catholic saints. You're always going to be tied to Saint Lazarus and Saint Barbara and all these other these Catholic statues on your shrines, and you're going to be, you know, and it just gets further and further away from the essence of the tradition. You know, the Lukumi people, they created this version of spirituality under duress in Cuba, and it's their baby. It's what they've done, and they did what they had to do at the time. They, you know, with the Catholicism, but now that that's over, they're the authors of that story. You can rewrite the story. Like you don't have to continue to go to this Catholicism, because I guarantee you, even though we use syncretism for Catholic, if it was the other way around, they wouldn't go for that.
Nope.
You can't go in a Catholic church and start talking about Shango. You can't go in a Catholic church and start talking about Elegua. You can't go in a Catholic church and start talking about Ogun. You can't do it. So these people do not approve your methods of worship. So why are you bending and conforming to their methods of worship? Why? It doesn't make sense. So I think both traditions should just get back to the basics.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. And the second problem that you were talking about, I seen that growing too. The part is the business part, where people are also doing whatever in order to get more clients. I see them deferring. I see them doing funny stuff, man, in order to get clients. It's crazy. But specifically in Miami, man, there's a lot of these Cubans, like, and a lot of times there's white Cubans though. There's a lot of these white Cubans that now for some reason they think they're babalaos, and they've been studying for like 1 year or less. You know, they haven't done the knowledge, and now they think they're babalaos, and now they're doing all types of business with the thing, and it's just all negative, man. It's all
Yeah,
negative. But
this is just something that you can't rush.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
why I never claimed to be a babalawo. I never claimed to be anything more than I am, because Ifa work is very tedious work.
Mm.
It's very tedious work because people don't really think about what goes into being a babalawo.
Yeah.
Number one, there's 256 Odu. A good babalawo, or should I say a serviceable babalawo, has 2 verses per Odu. So we're already talking about 512 verses that you should know.
That's it, man. That's what I'm saying.
That's off top. So to be a good babalawo, you're talking about 4 verses per Odu. So you can do math. You're talking about thousands of Odu that you're supposed to.
That's a lot of knowledge, brother.
Can recall.
Yeah.
Then that's just the Odu, right?
Yeah.
Within these verses, some of them have prescriptions that the trained babalawo should know by looking at names and words and knowing the Odu. Mm-hmm. So now we're talking about medicine. So now you should know how to make the medicine that comes with the Odu. Mm-hmm. And the ingredients that goes with the medicine that may not be spelled out in the Odu, and how to ask for other ingredients that is in the Odu. So you have to know that. You have to be trained in that. Mm. Then you have to know how to manipulate the Opele chain, how to divine with the Ikin. You have to know these things. You have to know what strokes to make when they fall. You have to know this. Yeah. Then you have to know how to perform Ebo Riru. Yeah. You have to know how to do that and make the Eko. So now we're adding cooking because you got to know how to make the Eko to do Ebo Riru. So we got cooking, we got medicine, we got verses, we got manipulating sacred tools, and that's not even that's just being serviceable. Performing Ose for other people, knowing how to sacrifice animals, knowing the little tricks of the trade to get it done in an efficient way. Mm. Butchering. It's another thing you're gonna have to learn. Yeah. You gotta get this, you gotta get the ashe at the animals. So it's so much to learn, and you just can't learn this in no 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year. It's impossible.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. When my uncle passed away, man, I remember my cousin got his books, and I remember he had a few of those books were all in Yoruba too. They were in Yoruba, and it was like you could tell it was a lot of work, man.
You gotta add language.
I know you gotta study. Yeah, you gotta study. You gotta learn. You gotta
know what the words mean.
Yeah, absolutely.
The prayers in Yoruba. You gotta know. So now you're talking about a language you didn't grow up speaking. Mm-hmm. That now you have to get a certain level of command over. It's just too much for you to pop up overnight, straight off the mat, and be a babalawo. Now, where people say, well, they do that in Nigeria. Mm. It's different in Nigeria, because in Nigeria, from by the time you're 5 or 6, they start training them to be, whatever the priest or the divinity of the house is. So by the time they get to 17, 18, they've been doing this all their life. So when they get initiated, because they got the knowledge from when they were high.
Growing up, yeah. No,
we didn't do that. Mm-hmm. A lot of us didn't do that.
Right.
So we have to go the other way and now go through the process of learning. So it's a different process, but the studying got to be done either way.
Absolutely.
It's no way around that. You do not want to play with things you don't understand because you're inadequate. And even in Conrad Ika, I can't remember the verse, but it talks about not performing things that you don't have a basic knowledge of. And this is one of Ifa's commands to the original 16 elders of Ile Ife. So it even tells you, hey, don't do this if you don't know how to do it. You gonna be in trouble. Don't do it.
Right. For sure. Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I want us to get a little bit into basketball, man, but before I have one more question. Certain people, like certain, Pan-Africanists that say that African spirituality is not adequate to fight our enemy, right? Because basically that these are tools that were around before we were in the situations that we're in today. You understand what I'm saying? So basically there was no slavery, there was no European in the place. There was no colonization, no neo-colonization, all the shit that we've been going through over the years. So that we need to, and I agree with this part, like we have to make sure we make our culture radical, right? Our culture has to be radical, has to be revolutionary, right? And they're arguing that a lot of aspects of our traditional African spirituality is not that. So it's not adequate to fight, the enemy. What would you say? What would you say about that?
These remarks are usually made by people that I say don't have enough credit hours in any African spiritual system. And if they've probably been around the ones that have been kind of altered in America. I like to say all the time that, like, particularly with Orisha, when you find groups of people that worship Orisha in America, some of them have Orishas like wrapped in bubble wrap. They've made like these safe places and cushions for Orisha, and it's all about love and light and abundance and I'm like, what are y'all reading about these Orisha? I just don't understand, because I'm a child of Ogun, right? So Ogun, according to my tradition, is the one who has a storehouse full of water, but rather bathed in blood. That don't sound very that's not radical enough. Like what that ain't enough radical for you. I mean, we literally spill blood on our divinities for nourishment. I just don't know what they're actually reading or what perspective they're coming from when they say that. And my other thing is people, and this is part of because of Western programming, they look for African spirituality to be a magic bullet of freedom. And as soon as we get in this, all of our problems will be gone and the oppressor will disappear and everything will be great because we could just get rid of him with spiritual practices. And that's not reality. That's not reality of anything. And no one ever claimed it to be that. But sometimes people look for solutions or what they want in a practice. And if it's not that, then they don't see value in it. And we have to understand how we've been programmed to look at that lens. This is not valuable because it doesn't do what I want it to do. That's very European. But it's how we've been trained to think. And there is not one single thing by itself that is going to get us freedom.
Absolutely.
Not one single thing. Not spirituality, not economics, not diet, not military arms, not none of these things by itself is going to give us the freedom that we are looking for. So why are you trying to place all the pressure on African spirituality when we have to look at everything in our power to create a sustainable change? We need to learn because let's be honest, we need to learn about economics. The economics is different in this land than it was with our ancestors. We need to learn about the education. We have to be well versed in our enemy's language as well. We have to be well versed what this means globally and how they operate and move. We need to be looking at military arms as well. We need to be skilled enough to defend ourselves, right? With the new weapons that have evolved. See, all of these things, it becomes like a fist.
Mm-hmm.
When you break them down and look at all of the different components, spirituality is definitely in there because it's a cultural component that we need to pass on, protect, and rear sacred so we can pass on to our children. But it's not going to be the only thing that we look at.
Yeah.
We need to look at our health. We need to look at our diet.
No doubt. Yeah.
We need to know what we're ingesting. We need to know what's the best diet for people of West African descent. What's the best diet? What did our ancestors eat?
Mm-hmm.
And we reproduce that here. Is it a good idea? Is it profitable? We need to be looking at all these things. It can't just be African spirituality. I would agree. If you're looking at African spirituality as the magic bullet, I would say stop doing that.
Yeah. Now,
The
but
value
like you,
that you find in it is going to be a cultural, empowering, bonding experience, but it is not going to make the oppressor magically disappear. It's not. But there are radical warfare-like things of our tradition. It absolutely is so. And if you've ever been around an Egungun, which is an ancestral masquerade that is a warlike Egungun, feeling that energy and hearing that voice, and you be like, oh man, you get a little shook up. You know, some of these Egungun are very frightening. You know, we have Egungun that get lit on fire. And don't burn. You know, we have Egungun that produce fire. We have Egungun that come out with swords. You know, we have these radical things in our tradition.
Yeah.
But most people I talk to have never seen them,
Sure.
heard of them, don't even know their names. So I think it's a twofold problem. I think it's number one, we don't have the people that are saying this have not gone the distance of joining something or learning about something to make an intelligent comment. And the second one is they're looking for a magic bullet. See, when we left monotheism, we were a part of monotheism. We went to church.
Yeah.
Some of us almost every day. We sang in choirs, we read the Bible, we did all these things. And then somewhere along the line, we said, this ain't for us. We put in the time. Have the people that are making these critiques on African spirituality put in that same time? The answer is no. So they're not the authority on our tradition because they don't live it. The ones that live this every day, the ones that are performing Osei, the ones that are performing sacrifices, the ones that are in tune with the Abuzum or the Alusi or the Orisha or the Orumale or the Fangus or whatever deities your African spiritual system calls them, they're the ones that the authority are and are the best to talk about this topic with. Not somebody on the internet that was, you know, mad about whatever and now want to place all this pressure on African spirituality to do something that nothing's been able to do.
Right. There is no one aspect that can, you know, like you said, liberate us.
It don't exist. If it did exist, I would hope to find it one day.
I would love to come across it.
If it's a button I can press. Well,
right.
You know, but it's not like that. We gotta keep fighting.
No, I appreciate that, man. This is dope, man. I appreciate your time. I'd like to get a little bit into basketball, man, if that's all right with you.
Kobe. Just want to say that off the bat.
That's your guy? That's your favorite player?
That's my favorite player of all time. Kobe Bryant, to me, is the most advanced basketball player to ever touch a basketball. Kobe Bryant is just the epitome.
You put him above Mike? Above Mike?
Mike is my GOAT. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, same here.
But as far as skill for skill,
you think Kobe surpassed him? Yeah, Kobe, he was a vicious student of Mike, so
He was.
Yeah.
Mike had the better career. I mean, you can't beat Mike's career.
Yeah, for sure.
But as far as like adding things to his game and the sharpened skills and the 3-point shot and Kobe was a force to be reckoned with. I mean, you look at now, all of Kobe's kids are dominating the NBA.
Yeah, true.
All the ones he trained is winning MVPs and hitting last second shots and winning championships.
Kyrie, man, that's my guy. I love Kyrie.
Murray. Another one Just seen it last night.
Killer.
Mid-range shot.
Yeah, no doubt, man. But yo, talk to me a little bit
Thinking
about you.
Kobe when he did it.
Yeah, for sure. But yo, talk to me about you, man. You I know you playing right now. You playing in the Dominican Republic, right?
Yes, I'm the president of a team called the Georgia Panthers. We play in the LDC and United Cup leagues in Dominican Republic and Santiago. You know, it's been a great experience for about 3-4 years. You know, I enjoy playing in the DR. You have to be ready to play in the DR. The pace is very fast.
Okay.
Guards lightning quick. It's hot. All the gyms don't have AC.
Right.
So you got to be ready for that. But it's a good brand of basketball, a very competitive brand of basketball, and you know, something that's been rewarding to me, going out there and playing in that league, man. And in the twilight of my career, because I ain't got that many years left. Me and LeBron.
Right. Okay, so, same. That makes 3 of us, man. Same here.
So hey, I ain't got that many.
Yeah,
I got more years behind me than in front of me. But
yeah, no doubt.
In this last moments of my career, I'm glad you know, I'm still out there getting after it and you know, and just enjoying my career.
Yeah, it's dope, man. Is there a lot of players from the US in the league in DR?
Yeah, because you know everybody brings in imports. So
how many players are they allowed per team? Is there like a limit?
I think it's 3.
Okay, yeah. Same. Here in France, it's also, I'm in France right now, and it's also like you got like, depending on the level, you know what I mean? You'll have like maybe 3 or 4 in first division, then you'll have like 3, like 2, like it depends. But yeah, there has to be a limit. But
always a limit. It's always a limit. I'll tell you that right there.
Yeah.
That's when because that was instated from when we used to be dominant. Like Americans used to be so dominant. It's not like that no more.
Yeah,
you
not
know,
necessarily
aren't
true.
as dominant as we used to be. We still, you know, got some of the best players in the world, but
no doubt.
it used to be a time when I was coming up where we were feared. Like when Americans,
for sure.
they be pointing and
Yeah. Did you play in other countries?
I played for a team that's from Belize and a Mexican team.
Okay. Yeah. How was that? What was your favorite place to play?
DR is my favorite place.
DR?
Yeah, DR is my favorite.
That's dope, man. Do you guys have on your squad, do you have a strength and conditioning coach? Because I may have someone for you down there, man.
Man, my head coach is everything. Strength and conditioning coach, he's everything.
Okay.
Because we have a partnership with a gym called El Blak, which is a couple from New York who moved to Dominican Republic to start a gym.
Yeah.
So we use their gym and they have a great facility. Yeah, they work us out there for sure.
That's what's up, man. That's dope. Yeah, man. I've never been to the Dominican Republic, man, but I've heard you know, I've heard the basketball league is pretty good out there.
There's a lot of leagues in DR. They pretty much play year round.
Okay.
They pretty much, I mean, from the La Vega League to the Mocha League to the Santiago League to the LMB to the LDC. There's so many leagues. Like when I start getting to know these guys and we started adding each other like on Instagram, and I start saying, I'm like, man, he's playing in another league. Man, playing in another championship. Man, they play like they don't stop. All year they just play. And I'm like, man, I said, no wonder they was in shape like that the first day. They don't stop playing.
That's dope, man. Let's talk NBA playoffs a little bit, man. Who's your squad, man? I know Kobe was your player, but do you have a team?
My squad, as of yesterday, my squad is at the house.
Lake show.
Well, Lakers got 4-1. No surprises there for me. We don't match up well with Denver. We didn't. When we blew up that team in 2020, that was a mistake for us. We had a lot of veteran bigs on that team that bothered Joker. You know, from JaVale McGee to Dwight Howard, and we got rid of all those guys. And then we got rid of Rondo, which was great for us in the bubble. We got rid of J.R. Smith. We got rid of Deion Waiters. We got rid of Avery Bradley. We got rid of all these guys and kept two people, LeBron and AD, and built the team around. And I was like, who made these decisions? I love to be a GM to make dumb decisions to get paid all that amounts of money. It just don't make no sense. But, you know, I was happy we made the playoffs, to be honest, because we was in the play-in. So
True.
I don't understand how we keep getting in this play-in every year with the so-called GOAT.
Hey man, you can see the times. You can see the times changing, man. LeBron is out, KD is out, Steph is out.
Changing of the guard, man.
You know what I mean?
Changing of the guard.
It's crazy right now. Even Giannis is about to be out.
Man, he can't stay healthy, man.
Yeah, he can't stay healthy.
Giannis is one of my favorite players in the NBA.
I like Giannis too.
Passion. I love how he go hard, but if we think about it, the last 3 years, even the year they won the championship, he was hurt in the first round.
True.
They got to start sitting him, man.
True.
They got to start sitting him out of some of these games.
Yeah,
because
throughout the year, yeah.
He not making it. Like, I know he goes so hard and you know, he gives you everything. But I mean, it's now becoming non-contact injuries.
Yeah.
So he wasn't doing anything when he hurt his
him go down. Yeah, I saw him go down. He was just running by himself, jogging by himself, and just went down. Yeah.
That start happened, bro. You got to gear this down. You got to miss some games, brother. Got to figure out a different recovery regimen.
We'll see. Yeah.
He's not lasting the season.
Real talk, man. And Embiid, man, it looked like Embiid is on his way out too, man.
Man, you know, this generation, I've never seen so many superstars out of a playoffs.
It's a lot. Yeah.
It's something we're doing. Like, I don't know if these guys are overtraining, and I've talked to NBA trainers, and they think that they are, because
they think they're overtraining.
They think they're overtraining. I mean, if you think about Giannis, Embiid, Lillard, you know, there's some more people, you know, some superstars, Zion.
Yeah.
There's so many guys out, and you like, man, what are we?
Kawhi is usually
like, and I think Kawhi is done. I don't think
might be
the version of him that's a dominant offensive force. I think it's done. And it's not, it's his body. His body has failed him. I personally don't think his knee has been right ever since whatever injury happened in San Antonio that kept him out for so long. I think because it's always the knee. It's that same knee. And he's had it surgically repaired and he's come back, but it's always that knee. And I think that knee is never going to be the same. And if it's not going to be the same, he can't be the same.
True.
Like every year, because think about it. You can't point to one play where Kawhi banged against somebody or knee to knee or moved it funny. Yeah. It's nothing like that. It's always he plays, and then after the game, he can't walk. Yeah. That means there's something internally wrong with that knee.
True.
It's not anything we can point to. Exactly. Something about that knee is not right. And it's now he's saying it's, you know, knee inflammation. Last year he tore his meniscus, and I was like, God, I said I don't even remember seeing you tear your meniscus. Like,
man, injuries are messed up, man.
Yeah, I think the version of him that we know as a dominant guy, I don't think he can be that anymore for that amount of minutes. He's gonna have to gear down.
Yeah, it's gonna be complicated.
Man. But like you say, it's a changing of the guard. All of our guys are.
Yeah.
You're getting older, man.
Speaking of that, man, what do you think about Anthony Edwards, man?
I love AD. I mean, I love Anthony Edwards, man. You know what? And I didn't believe in him at first. When he first came in the league, I was like, man, I don't see it. I don't know what y'all mean. This guy talking about rapping and all this other, he freestyling.
Yeah, he was talking too much. He was talking a little bit too much. I
don't see it, man. But I see it now. I'll tell you what, I saw it last year when they were in USA camp and he drove to the basket. And I believe Jaren Jackson won Defensive Player of the Year. And when he went to the basket, he dunked it, but Jaren Jackson didn't jump. And he said to him on the way down, "You the Defensive Player of the Year. Why you ain't jump?" I was like, wow. I said, I like that mentality. I said, well, let me watch this guy some more. And I started watching him, and I was like, whoa. I said, we got something. I looks his
that
move.
boy's the truth, man.
They look familiar. They look kind of Kobe Jordan-esque. I said, I don't know, he could be. And now that I see what he's doing this year, I said, oh yeah, if he wants to lead, he can take it.
Yeah.
Wants to lead,
real good
for him to take it.
How do you think Minnesota's gonna match up against Denver, man? How do you see that playing out?
It's gonna be a tough series.
That's
but
gonna be tough.
They have the size to contend with Denver. That's
key. That's key because Denver is big and strong, man. Them boys.
That's what we didn't have. Look, the Lakers don't have the size. We gave away all our size. So Minnesota has the size. They have a few people they can throw at Jokic. You know, they got Cat, they got Gobert, they got Nas Reed. They got some people they can throw at them. So it'll be interesting to see. You know, how
it'll be good.
Series unfolds. It'll be a great test for them as well. Just to see, you know, how the young fella handles it. How Nas Reed's first playoff series, how he handles it. Is Cat going to be his dominant self? They really need Cat to be Cat. They really need.
I agree.
Yeah. Because on the other side,
they need him to show up. Yeah.
That boy Michael Porter Jr. Woo!
He's going to work.
You ain't supposed to be shooting the cover off that ball like that, young man.
Yeah, he's going to work. Aaron Gordon is going to work too at any given time.
Man, and that's the scary thing about the Nuggets. You just don't know who's going to be that third guy.
Yeah.
Any given night. You know, it could be Michael Porter Jr. It could be Aaron Gordon. It could be KCP.
Yeah.
You know, you just don't know. They got a lot of guys over there, a lot of quality guys off that bench and even in their star lineup. You just don't know who's going to be.
True.
So it's going to be a tough test for Minnesota. If I was a bet man, I put my money on Denver.
Same here.
It's going to be an interesting series. I'm definitely going to be watching for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. What do you think, man? Thunder number one seed. I didn't expect that one. What do you think? Do you believe in them like that? You know, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. You know, he's a killer.
First of all, SGA is my MVP.
Yeah, he's a killer, man.
My MVP because he doesn't have another all-star on that team.
True.
He got him to first place. Now, it's a conversation if they would have been in first place if Murray didn't get hurt and, you know, Luke missed that time, but whatever. They won the games that was on their schedule. Yeah. So they're in first place. So he's my MVP. I just think they're a little too young to win it all.
I agree, yeah.
But, I mean, it also depends on, you know, the matchups as well. If Denver gets knocked out, they in the prime seat.
Yeah, they might be, but right now it's looking like right now they're about to take on the winner of Dallas and the Clippers. You think they can beat them?
Ooh.
That's gonna be tough too.
Clippers will be a tough test for them because they got the experience, but I think they have more players that they can throw at the Clippers. They got a lot of long, lanky players that can bother the Clippers defensively, and without Kawhi. That just would be a tough task for the Clips. Paul George would have to go crazy every night for them to hang with that young squad. And I mean, SGA is gonna do what SGA does, and then they got Chet, then they got Dort, then they got Josh Giddey. I mean, they got a real great young. If they keep this squad together for about 2 or 3 years, they're gonna be a problem.
I agree. That's for sure. That's for sure. But as they are right now, I actually see them losing the next round, man. But I mean, like maybe like in a 7-game series. But like you said, I think they're still young. Yeah,
they're young. They're young.
I see them losing.
If the Clippers had Kawhi, I would definitely pick the Clippers.
Yeah, for sure.
But Paul George gets lost sometimes, and he forgets that he's Paul George.
That's true.
And, you know, if you have too many of them games against them young fellas, you might be in
a wrap. That's true. But I think between James Harden and Paul George, I still see him getting the job done.
Another guy that gets lost sometimes.
Yeah, he does. He does. Well, that's why I don't know if they're gonna even get past the Mavs, man, because Kyrie's gonna go to work.
Ain't
He's
over.
not gonna. Him and Luka's gonna go to work. Kyrie's gonna go to work. You know, it's gonna be tough.
Kyrie Irving makes me thankful I'm not in the NBA. I would.
You can't do anything. You can't do anything.
Listen, man. You got to have a weakness somewhere offensively.
Right.
Push him up. The guy can shoot the ball. He got on his handle. He don't care if you block. He gonna move it. And it's like, golly, what can you do offensively, bro?
Crazy.
Another Kobe kid. I would have loved to have been in there and watch them bounce ideas off each other, because I know that'd be a high level,
of course,
conversation. Because man.
Only
6'1 3/4" and just will absolutely kill you, man.
Murder.
Him and Luka together is crazy. They don't have enough defense.
They don't. They don't. They got some good addition, but I think they would need.
They picked up a few guys.
Yeah, they picked up a few guys, but I think they would need, like, it would be good for them to have like a Gobert, man, inside.
Yeah, they need an anchor, and
even like Dwight Howard. That'd be good for them.
Oh yeah,
someone like that.
But you know what? They had a big man, and he was jealous of Luka, and they traded him. They had one.
Yeah, they did. They did.
It would be perfect with them.
Right.
It ain't work out.
Who you see coming out the East?
Man, I think it's Celtics game to lose.
Yeah, I think Celtics are pretty dominant.
I think they in the driver's seat to get out of the East. It'd be they spot to lose. I don't see why they shouldn't come out of the East. Yeah,
I feel you, man. I agree, man. I'm a lifelong New York Knicks fan, man. So I'm happy this year.
It's got some rolling though, man.
Yeah.
If the Celtics don't do what they're supposed to do, I can see the Knicks.
Yeah, I would love that, man.
Out of there.
That would be crazy. Jalen Brunson, that boy's been handling business, bro.
Hey. Y'all been saying y'all need a star all these years. Well, I think you got one.
Yep. For real. And I'm not gonna lie, when he first came to the Knicks, I was like kind of suspect, like, you know, because it was the whole time we wanted.
Everybody was. Everybody was like, how much money?
We wanted Spider Mitchell, man. You know, and then we were kind of skeptical, like, yo, I don't know about, he's nice, but he's not nice.
Nice like that.
But yo, he is. He's been proven, like, yo, he's that dude. Yes. He's that dude. So man, that's dope. I love to see Jalen Brunson balling like that, man.
Jalen Brunson said, y'all got me messed up. I'm finna show y'all.
Yeah, no doubt.
Y'all got the right guy. He's incredible doing that at that size, man.
Yeah,
he's incredible. I think they're gonna go ahead and send the Sixers to the crib.
Yeah,
and they in a good spot, man. They in a good spot. So I think it could happen for them.
Hopefully, man. We'll see. And we're missing our big man.
Yeah, man. I was sad that Julius Randle went down with that shoulder injury, and it was because he sat out so long before having surgery, because I think he was trying to see if he could, work it back into shape. And finally, he's like, man, I need surgery, man.
Yeah, unfortunately, man. Yeah, again, these injuries, man, it's tough, man.
Yeah, so that's another guy, an all-star caliber player out. It's just so many.
It's a lot, man.
I didn't even see what Zion did.
I don't know, man, but it's been with Zion, it's been consistent ever since he came into the league. It's been kind of,
You got to keep that weight down, brother.
Yeah.
You're too big.
That's true.
You got to keep it down.
Yeah, no doubt.
Everybody fought for. Oh no, he just big. Man, listen.
Nah, you got it.
Brother, you got to keep that weight
down.
You're not that tall.
Yeah, for real.
All that pressure on them knees, man.
The joints, man. The joints will, at some point, they'll be like, yo, that's a lot. Basketball is a lot of running, jumping, left, right, down, up. You know what I'm saying? The body will
35 to 40 games in college versus 82.
absolutely. It's no joke.
That's 40 more games you ain't never played before now, and we're not talking about the playoffs. So
exactly.
you got to keep your body in optimal condition, man. He's got to start really taking his nutrition seriously.
Yeah.
And stay off the internet with the OnlyFans girl.
Yeah, he'll
be all right. He'll be all right. You gotta take that nutrition seriously first. Hey, the OnlyFans girls are for the trick off after you take care of business, man. You gotta take care of what got you paid, brother. That's
true, man. You gotta focus.
Focus, man. That could be later, bro. You gotta stay on the court.
No doubt.
When the checks stop rolling in, and women gonna be gone.
A wrap. Everything.
Gotta take care of what got you paid.
No doubt. Yeah, man. So, yeah, that's it, man. I appreciate it, man. It's been smooth conversation, man. I appreciate you taking the time, man. I like to, before you go, man, we usually do this here at the Vital Hoops Podcast, is ask our guests for a good book recommendation. So if you have a good book you'd like to recommend to the listeners.
I got 5 books.
For sure, man. Go ahead, lay them out.
And they all by my brothers at the Kofi Piche research team.
Okay.
And Spears of the Mossi, volume 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, man. You can find these books on Same Tree, Different Branch Publishing.com. Okay. And all of these books are packed with great information. These are not only just books, but they're historical surveys of different topics, man. And the utmost research has been put into them. They will have references that you can go and look up the information for yourself. And they're just great books. I got one of them right here. Okay. Spears of Victory, man. Nice. Spears of Victory, man. Dope. This book right here, it covers Potolo, which is one of the astronomical phenomenon from the Dogon. Right here, this survey talks about translating Medu Neter and the methods of how they do that. The Battle of Adwa, which is the Ethiopian battle against the Italians. We're talking about Survey 5, the extraction of liberation and empowerment through Houston's historical African-American enclave. The attack on intellectualism during the Age of Information. So these are not, powder puff topics, man. They really going in these books. And there's 5 volumes of them. Y'all can pick up all 5 of them. And you ain't got to read one to read the other. They're not like in order. Like you start with book 5, So those are that I would recommend.
Cool. I appreciate that. I'm going to have the link to that in the description as well. Everybody check that out. And yeah, man, if you have any last words, if you want to lay out, your socials and all that, let me know. I'm going to have them down in the description as well. But please go ahead and let us know.
All right, man. Blak Pantha Mossi on Instagram, BLAK PANTHA MOSSI. You can find me on Instagram and you can find me on TikTok at the same handle. YouTube is Mossi Warrior Clan. Check us out, man. We producing over and over and over. We got the slogan, they got excuses, we just keep producing. So we're going to keep this thing rolling, man. Check us out.
No doubt. All right, man. Appreciate you, my brother. Hopefully we'll have you back on at some point.
Sure, man.
We stay connected.
Sure.
Uhuru. All right. We give thanks to the brother Blak Pantha. Check out all the links down in the description. Support the brother. Follow him on IG. Check out what he got going on. And listen, please support the Vital Hoops Podcast. Like, share, subscribe. Oh yeah, May 11th is Panaf Hip Hop. A huge hip hop event that we are planning with the Pan-African League Umoja. Still, celebrating 50 years of hip hop, but speaking of hip hop as a Pan-Africanist and revolutionary culture. So be on the lookout for that. If you're in or around Paris, definitely get there. If not, you can still support us. Please We're still raising some money. There's a link down in the description. You can see what the project is about and help us out if you can. It's gonna be a great event. I'm gonna personally be in both the conference and the concert. In the conference, I'll be speaking about the 10th element of hip hop. So, you know, shout out to Keith Tucker and Hip Hop is Green. Much respect. If you haven't seen it yet, check out episode 20 of the VitalHoopsPodcast, 10th element of hip hop. I had Keith Tucker on the show. But yeah, I'm gonna be talking about that during the conference, and then I'll be, you know, in the concert, you know, as well, doing my thing. Repping 340 MS. Shout out to my cousin AB. And that's it. Other than that, our online magazine, you know, the Pan-African Legal Moja's online magazine, number 28 is out. It is in French, so, you know, the link is down in the description as well. That's it. Vital Hoops, we appreciate you. For the people, by the people, for the culture. Uhuru.